Greetings, Reverend Victoria. I am ready to hear your perspective as part of one of the butterflies witnessing and and assisting as well in the Seat FM Pixar story. So, what was, from your perspective, what was the spark that ignited Seat FM's vision?
Well, I am really glad that I got a chance to listen to everyone else, most people, and get a broader picture of where everyone is adding to this story. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's wonderful to think about different points of view within the story of Seed FM and also remembering, because one of the things that's difficult with individual memory is we have holes in it. And when we come
Yes.
together, those holes get refilled and oh yeah, I remember that. Yes, that's wonderful. So it's really good. So I think, when you said, what is the spark? My earlier answer to that may have been different. And when I think about it from a longer perspective, I think the spark for Seat FM was ignited much earlier than, was ready and waiting much earlier than any of
Mhm.
us have talked about. And I think that's in Reverend Jerry making the decision to become a minister and even having that desire in her to have a standalone ministry.
Mhm.
And you know, I I have known Reverend Jerry for more than 20 years, and I've seen, this incredible uh, oh, well, I like the word constancy, right? She has been a constant support. She's been a constant person who is just there caring for everyone and available, you know? And that is remarkable, right? To see that over a long haul. And, and I think that that is how that flame was carried with her to have her own
Mhm.
ministry as well. So I think it started right when she said yes to ministry. And this is the next version of her ministry. And she's gotten so much experience under her belt.
Beautiful, beautiful. So now let's move to our next question. Every Pixar film has a monster or a challenge that characters are getting over. So, what challenges were like Pixar monsters in the beginning of Seat FM?
Well, I think I liked what Reverend Larry had to say. He said he didn't look at them as monsters. He looked at them
Mhm.
as challenges. And if I
Mhm.
were, being true to who Larry is, I don't think that she's ever seen anything as a monster or any person as a monster.
Mhm.
It's always been she sees the person who
Mhm.
is who sees that divine being.
Mhm.
And and that's why she's so successful at bringing people together. She has all her little nicknames for us, like I'm the social butterfly, and and yet she sees that part of me, right? And
Mhm.
it's fun because I am really a very shy person. So it's nice for her to have that vision of me as a social butterfly and to, spread my wings doing that from time to time. So I don't think that Reverend Jerry has ever seen anything as a monster.
All right. How did people feel when they first experienced Seat FM? So, when you looked out into the community or what people shared with you, what were those first experiences that they shared?
Well, we started visioning. So, everything was kind of unformed at that point.
Mhm.
And I remember one of the names that a lot of us were really excited about. I think the majority of us were excited about. We were thinking about center of being. Yes, that's great. Because it really, it had a catch to it. And
Mhm.
spiritual enlightenment and truth, finally was the name that came through in visioning. And, it was perfect. That was the perfection of it. And so I think it didn't come into sharp focus right away. It was more an assembling of all the energy and all of the thoughts of this group of people that Reverend Jerry brought together. And out of that
Hmm.
grew this vision. And and it supported the vision of, the vision and the commitment of Reverend Jerry to be in ministry. So I think that that's another talent that we have to look at within Reverend Jerry is her ability to bring a really diverse group of people together to contribute, to truly contribute. You would never say this is a one person endeavor,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think there's something to be said for that. There's definitely Reverend Jerry's the spiritual director and leader, but because she brings in out the best talents that people have, it becomes that collective very quickly and easily.
So once things started to form, you're visioning, and then things are starting to form. You have the name, and then it's starting to form,
Mhm.
and then you have an experience, whether it's in person or whether it's online. This experience occurs. That's Seat FM. How did people respond to that? What were their feelings about that?
Oh, I think there's a lot of excitement. Reverend Renee talked about the key, right? The play that was done. And that was amazing. The key started in with Renee, bringing this idea to Reverend Jerry, and Reverend Jerry fully supported it, and made room in her ministry for it. And
Hmm.
this was when she was in San Bernardino as an interim minister, and it
Hmm.
just grew. And that play was performed in different places, different centers, and then a video was made. So I think that, I think what we see is this little, the stone going into the water and then all the
Hmm.
ripples going in. And so there's a lot of excitement, a lot of community building, a lot of recognition for the talent that's in the community and
Mm.
talents that you never would have thought that people had, right? Just showed up and, were wonderful. And I'll just give a shout out to Jimmy, who was in a lead role, and he's Reverend Renee's son. He was stellar, and I never thought of him as being an actor, right? But
Hmm.
he was stellar. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. So I think we experienced joy.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I hear a lot in that joy and in a incubator where
Mm.
people could really be themselves. They could feel who they were as a result of experiencing Seed FM. So that's great. It's really wonderful. So now for our fourth question, Seed FM uses the spiritual practice of visioning and used it from the beginning to create their story. And this is similar to like the Pixar storyboard in that new ideas come forward. You just sit and you allow those new ideas from that higher wisdom to come forward so that new story begins. So, how did the spiritual practice of visioning, like Pixar's storyboarding, help Seat FM's journey?
I think that visioning, we did a lot of visioning.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was wonderful having Susie Ammons lead that visioning and, just holding that space and just creating that conduit for us to be fully present as we visioned. And I think that was visioning for Reverend Jerry is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been important to me to a lesser degree up until I started visioning for this ministry.
Mm.
And the difference in visioning that I was involved in prior to this was that I couldn't see the connection, how it was connected to the group that I was visioning with and for.
Mm.
It wasn't a follow through and an integration of that visioning process in the
Mm.
material, right?
Yes.
The difference here visioning with Seat FM was that that visioning seemed to me to be really apparent, right? It was taken seriously,
Mm-hmm.
um, and used
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
the foundation for the ministry. So to me, personally, I felt like I grew in my um, acceptance and faith in
Mm-hmm.
vision. So very important, incredibly important.
Very important because I hear being still, listening, and then acting
And
based on based on what was heard versus based on what you think. Okay. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. I bet that was exciting to be a part of that and see that actually come alive.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And now here CDFM is in its eighth anniversary.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Very wonderful. Well,
Did the lineup. Again, it goes back to how good Reverend Jerry is at recognizing people's talents and people's desire to contribute.
now, as I mentioned before with others, that CDFM moved to the Sutter Buttes area, and um, and that not only is it the smallest mountain range in the world, also it is a sacred place for Native Americans. And because your background is your culture, your blood that runs through your being is Native American. And tell me what tribe specifically you're from again.
I'm Muskogee, and
Muskogee.
I'll just mention that there is a move to change Sutter Buttes to be called Sacred Buttes, and
Oh,
so that will be wonderful if that is passed, and we'll see that. And of course, it's a sacred area for the Wintu, the Maidu, and the Nisiman from up in that region.
thank you.
So so that may be changed
Oh, wow. And
very
just think, Seed FM is there already. That's not lost on me that they're already there and that this is happening. That's really awesome.
soon.
So, from your perspective and your intunement, how did the move to Sutter Buttes feel like a new Pixar film setting where creativity just started occurring more so, or what shifts or changes did you feel or see as a result of that move for Seat FM?
Well, just the basic change. I was used to having Reverend Jerry down the road.
Oh, that was a
And
big one.
so that was, yeah, it was like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
can't just drive over and see Reverend Jerry when I
Mm-hmm.
want to. I can't see her in person, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of a letting go in terms of that ability to have access physically, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Personally. For her, I thought that it was going to be an amazing adventure for both she and Larry. And I was so excited for them to be moving into a new home, into a new area, and just having the newness of a new home and new location for Seat FM. Because I think that there is something about changing a location, a physical location, and the energy that you're bringing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fitting that spiritual enlightenment and truth focused ministry is in Sacred Buttes, right? I think that uh, they can draw from that area the peacefulness and the sacred nature of that area into their daily practice and what they bring to the world. And I think that they also add to that sacredness of the area.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.